This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like expecting the leadership of a team captain on the football field, but getting a sea captain. You wouldn't settle for just anything for your team. Shouldn't it be the same for your insurance? So don't settle for just any insurance when you can go with a leader. State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
The spirit of innovation is deeply ingrained in America, and Google is helping Americans innovate in ways both big and small. From improving emergency response times to protecting against cyber attacks, local, state, and federal governments are innovating with Google AI. This is a new era of American innovation. Find out more at g.co/American innovation.
Change is always happening, but no matter what changes in 5 years, there's one thing that will stay the same: the price of your internet. With the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi, with our best equipment included, for a price that stays exactly the same. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024.
Hello and welcome to the Paddock and The Pavilion with me, Stephen Wallis. Today my guest is Andy Brown, the official painter of the 2025 Indian Premier League. Andy has taken his easel around the world, from baseball stadiums in South Korea to cricket grounds in England and India. In our chat, he shares how he discovered his love of art, how he came to work with the IPL, and his passion for cricket, with his work admired by stars such as Virat Kohli and Sir Jimmy Anderson. Hello, Andy. Welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion. So good to see you and speak to you at last.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on.
Been following you on Instagram. Andy Brown is an artist.
Correct. Exactly what it says on the tin.
And we're going to talk about your IPL connection, but you are the official IPL artist 2025.
That was right. I spent the entire season, from the opening ceremony to the closing, the final, painting all the grounds, all the main grounds. I think there was 13 grounds they used this year, and I painted 11 of them. So I was touring around the country, touring around India, painting the regular season, and then the post-season, the playoffs, the eliminator, and then the final itself. So it was fantastic, quite an experience.
But to begin with, how did you start in art?
Well, I guess it's just something I always did. I was always drawing, painting as a young child. All my big memories, I guess, are associated to art and drawing in some respect. And it was just an interest of mine. So of course it took off, and I did GCSEs, did my A-levels, went to college, then I went to university, studied fine art painting, and then I was teaching art for 15 years, 10 years in South Korea and 5 years in the UK. And when I was living in South Korea, there was no cricket, or very little cricket, but they played baseball. So I started watching baseball and learning about baseball, learning about the Korean culture. And I used to paint. I'd do a little drawing before the start of a game. And then I would, because I'd done one, then I wanted to go and see a different stadium. So I'd go to the other stadium and I'd paint there. And then I started building up this collection all around Korea and Korean baseball. And then I moved to traveling all around the world doing it. So then I was in Japan, watching baseball and painting it, Taiwan, China, a little bit in the States. And then eventually, about, 6 years ago, I left my job. I was teaching art over there. I left my job, painted all 30 Major League Baseball stadiums, the baseball in the States. And that was it. I've never stopped. Like I ended up in Mexico, all around Latin America, Cuba, Dominican Republic, making books, painting baseball. And that led to different sports. So it led to a bit of golf, a bit of polo, football, of course, and then the last couple of years, quite a lot of cricket. So I've been all around the world painting cricket. So it's always been something that I did and do, and it's just grown. It's been one of those things that originally I left my job and I thought it might be 3 months in the States painting baseball, just as more of a break from working life, I guess. And then it ended up being full-time job, and here we are today talking about it.
So how did you get the IPL gig then? That's pretty big.
IPL gig, that came about. I was painting the India-England Test Series in 2024. So that was the 5 Test Series, Hyderabad, Rajkot, Ranchi, Vizag and Dharamshala. And at the end of the tour, I met Aaron Singermel, the IPL chairman. He came along to meet me, and we had a conversation and introduced himself, and we were talking about the IPL. And then he said, "Oh, if you want," the IPL was starting, I think, a week after the end of the conclusion of the Dharamshala Test. And he said, "Oh, if you want to come along, you can come paint the opening ceremony of the IPL that starts next week." And it was RCB, Virat Kohli, and CSK, Dhoni. And it was amazing. It was in Chennai, incredible stadium, incredible amount of noise, the first game. And I kind of said to him, "Oh, that'd be good I wouldn't mind doing a bit more of that." And then I caught him again when I was in Barbados at the World Cup. That was last year, 24. I painted the World Cup in the West Indies, so I was there for a lot of that. And I painted the final. Of course, India won the final. I saw him again then, and we kind of talked a little bit more about it. Oh, it'd be good to come back and do a bit more IPL. And then so we've kind of been talking about it over the last year. And then it all came together, and there I was as the official artist for the season. So it was amazing, phenomenal country for the colour and the excitement, the fandom, stadiums and just huge, absolutely huge, and such a range of cultures everywhere you go. It's different. This painting behind me, of course, that's Jimmy Anderson's 700th wicket in Dharamshala in the Himalayas. So you go from places like that to Mumbai, and you're right by the Marine Drive there, by the water, and you're in Mumbai, very hot, humid, sweaty city. In May time, very, very hot. To the Dharamshala Stadium up in the Himalayas, where it's much cooler and slightly different, and it changes. So it was phenomenal, and that's how we got there, really, kind of.
You call yourself a traveller up for meeting new people, trying new cuisine, traditions, and understanding how people live.
Yes, I think that's what it's all about.
And paint, I guess, as well. Yeah.
Well, it's all about us, really. It's all about the human condition, who we are, different cultures, our similarities, our differences. I love the fact that through sport, how I started with baseball was baseball introduced me, or maybe helped me understand the Korean culture that I was living in more, because you can hear the national anthem, you try the food, you see how people interact, you see the religion, you can see the politics, you can see that in architecture, you can see all the geography. You can see all these things when you're in a sports stadium. So I love the fact that through sport you can see different fashions and all different ideas, which we all have, all our culture. But of course, we all have different ideas about who we follow and who we support and what matters to us. And I find that in sport, you can go to a cricket stadium in India or a cricket stadium in England or Barbados, or wherever you might be, and you get a different idea of how people play music or how people interact, how people eat food or what food they eat. And all these sorts of things. So it's all about us. It's all about what we do, what we enjoy, what we celebrate. And like I say, celebrating the differences and the similarities.
We all hear about the atmosphere at the IPL. What is it really like, and what's it like painting there with all that noise?
It's absolutely amazing. I mean, it's so loud. Like when Dhoni comes out to bat in Chennai, it is ear-splitting. The noise is, I've painted easily over 150 stadiums all around the world of different sports, and the IPL is probably the loudest experience I've ever had. Like the noise is phenomenal, the fandom is phenomenal, the passion, the enthusiasm. There's nothing really like it. And I think, I love Test cricket and I love the pace of Test cricket, but the IPL is just such a phenomenal 3 months where just the whole country is absolutely swept away in this fever of cricket and the T20 cricket, and the heroes they celebrate, either the adoration from the fans for Dhoni, for Kohli, for Rohit, and all the rest of them is something else. It's quite something to experience, and I recommend if you like cricket or like sport or like travel, there's nothing like it in India to watch cricket, watch a game of IPL or any sort of cricket. It's phenomenal.
And you've got to meet some of these players as well. I know Virat Kohli. I've seen a picture of you with him.
Yeah. A couple of times met Virat. That was amazing. Again, this is the path of my work has been going from a fan in the stands, enjoying sport, learning about different cultures, and making paintings of these things, to the people in the paintings, the guys on the field owning my work, wanting pieces of my work, wanting to meet up and say hello and whatever, and take a photo and all those sorts of things. So, yeah, I've met quite a lot of all different sports players and teams all around the world. But yeah, met Virat a couple of times, met him at the final. He introduced me to his wife. It was right at the end when RCB won the field and had the trophy. And I had the painting that he was at the crease batting at that one. So I showed him the painting, and we had a little chat, and I wished him well, and I was on my way. But it's amazing. It's quite amazing. Like when I first met him, that was in Bengaluru. That was about halfway through the season. I was waiting for him to come. We were outside. I was with his security. You kind of go through all these different rings of security to get closer and closer and closer to where he's going to be. And it was all arranged and all set up. He knew I was coming. And he comes down the stairs, and of course, it's Virat Kohli. Oh, nice to meet you, Mr. Kohli. I'm Andy Brown. Da, 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 da. You start explaining who you are. And he goes, oh yeah, I know Andy. Hey, how are you doing? You all right? And I was like, oh, it's all very nice, very casual, and he's a lovely fella. So you can't beat just being. It's nice. I always appreciate the craft and the dedication and the hard work these guys put in, sportsmen and sportswomen. The work that you put in to get to be a top athlete is phenomenal. And I think that's like anything where people are working hard and grafting. I love that dedication to their craft. And when they appreciate what you're doing as well, that's absolutely lovely. So it's pretty special.
I guess they have so many photographs taken of themselves that being put on canvas, especially with someone as good as yourself, is different for them, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's probably, it's certainly something unusual and different. Without a doubt, there's not many other people in the stadium with a big easel and canvas.
And you're acrylic and oils when you're painting? Yeah,
acrylic and oils. But, it depends on the situation. Depends on with the IPL, because I might be in, I started in Kolkata at the opening ceremony first game. I think the next night I was in Chennai. So I had to get back to the hotel, roll up the canvas, put it into the suitcase, and then, go to the airport to get on the next plane. So you can't be traveling around like that with oils. So because of the drying time, acrylics will dry in 20 minutes. In India, they'll dry in 10 minutes or on your brush. And for practical reason, it kind of varies which material I use. But I like using oils probably more out of the two, but it really depends on the situation, set up, amount of time I've got to paint, and some various factors like that.
And what reaction do you get from spectators?
Yeah, great. I mean, you can't beat it. Again, it's very, very nice. Like I tend to put spectators, the people that I meet during the day tend to become part of the painting. So at the recent Old Trafford, Edgbaston tests, one of the days I was, in fact, it was my birthday. I was up in one of the stands there, and I was painting away, and then there was a guy who came up to me, and he had a jacket on. He had this fancy jacket, and his friend said, "Oh, tell him about your jacket." So he said, "Oh, this is Elvis Presley's jacket." And I said, "Oh, right." I said, "Oh, that's interesting." People tell you all these interesting stories, like amazing stories when you meet people, like all sorts of things. So he started telling me about this jacket, and he'd been to Memphis, Tennessee, and he's a massive Elvis fan. And you can go to Elvis's tailor, and he'll make you a replica of one of Elvis's any piece of his clothes or whatever. So he had this jacket made of it for himself with this. And he showed me the photo. There's a photo of Elvis outside Graceland leaning against the door. So then I put him into the paint. I said, "Oh, look, I'll put you in the paint with your jacket." So I put him into the paint and leaning against the door, not of Graceland, but he's leaning up against kind of the boundary. So you get to meet amazing people and interesting stories, and you get to meet, the vendor on the corner to the guy who owns the team or the players themselves. So you meet, the whole range of people involved with the sport or the stadium and the workings of it. So again, and I mean, most of the time the reaction's incredible. Like very, it's lovely, really. You can't beat going to work and people cheering you on and celebrating what you do. It's lovely.
And there you go. We've got Elvis Presley mentioned on this podcast. I never think I'd do that.
Elvis Presley. Elvis comes up a bit because, again, next to me here, I've got Old Trafford. That was day one, England, India. And there were 4 Elvis Presleys just behind me in the stands. And so I painted one of them in. And then before I painted the other 3, and I think they'd been kicked out because they were making a beer snake. So they went. So they'd gone. Elvis had left the building. But I also, in Edgbaston, we had the Beatles down in front of me. So I put the Beatles into that painting. So again, all the people, all the sites. I had some butchers chasing after a pig. That was in Edgbaston in the Hollies. That was so, yeah. So I got those in. They've got them in the painting. So again, I want to capture the culture of that stadium that day. What makes it special? Cricket in Birmingham, cricket in Manchester, or Lords. We talked about before. I want to capture those things. So again, it's all the little things that makes it original and unique to that day and that bit of history.
Raise the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that An enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. Start converting your B2B audience today. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started today at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Brooks Running reminds us that we're all powered by something. Whether it's the me-time energy of a run after a day at the office, the electrifying energy of your first marathon, or the infectious energy of a group run with your friends. No matter what energy powers you, Brooks has gear specifically designed to unleash it. So lace up and let it out. Let's run there. Visit brooksrunning.com today to learn more.
Disney's Lilo & Stitch has finally landed on Disney+. Now you can watch the global phenomenon at home with your Ohana.
Be good for 1 second.
Lilo & Stitch is verified hot on Rotten Tomatoes with an audience score of 93%.
Perfect.
Stitch is also cute and fluffy.
Disney's Lilo & Stitch, rated PG, now streaming on Disney+. And right now, you can get Disney+, Hulu, and all of ESPN with an incredible limited-time offer. Terms apply.
Let's then talk about the England-India Test series. You did all 5 Test matches.
I did all 5 in India. This summer's Test series, I did Edgbaston, Old Trafford, and Lords. So those are the 3 I did this season.
So you weren't there on that last day at the Oval then, with that last hour?
No, I was in the Czech Republic. I was painting the Great Britain baseball team. We won. They actually ended up winning. The under-23s won the European Championship. So I was there. I'm their team artist. So again, through my work, it's evolved that I've been painting the stadiums to now I paint portraits of the players, and I go on tours with teams. So I was with a Mexican baseball team a few years ago in Mexico with them, painting their portraits and painting their batting practice and all that sort of, all the part behind the scenes, but also the games as well. So I do that for Great Britain baseball. So I was there with the under-23s in the Czech Republic just a couple of weeks ago. I was with the women's team. They won gold. That was just a few days ago. And then in September, I'm over to Holland with the senior team. Again, we've got the European Championship. So yeah, so I'm all over the place with different work, and yeah, of course, it's all different dates, all different places.
So when you did the Test matches in the UK,
yeah,
what time do you get there? How do you set up? Where do you go? I know where you went. I know where you were at Lords.
Yeah, it varies. I mean, usually I like to be there early because you want to get set up. You want to make sure you've got all your stuff. You want to make sure you've got a good viewpoint. Now, sometimes I can decide the viewpoint. Sometimes the stadium was just the viewpoint, or there might be the marking, or communications manager might help me out with that. But, you know, you've got to be quite flexible. You've got to be quite adaptable. It may not be the place that you really want to be in, but you know, you've got to be thankful for being there and doing the job you're getting there to do. So yeah, it all varies. But usually I get there a couple of hours before, get myself set up. And then I kind of like to see everybody coming in, kind of start to work out, you know, every stadium has its original features, or has its atmosphere, or has its viewpoints, or its backdrop, or whatever might make it special. So again, I want to spend enough time in the stadium beforehand, hopefully picking up on those things, so I can put those into the painting. But also once the play starts, well, then I'm watching the play and capturing any milestones or historic moments that might be happening on the field, like a double 100 or like Jimmy's 700th wicket or whatever it might be. So again, I'm trying to get a balance of everything to do with that day in cricket history or sports history, and try and get it as much of that as possible onto the canvas.
So what's your aim at a day's play, to finish by the 6:30 when they finish, or? Yeah,
it finishes when the game finishes. And of course, you know, sometimes you've got, it's hard to know when a milestone's coming. Of course, sometimes you might be there and you're already. I try to get all the players in exactly the place that they were at for that milestone. For example, the one on the background here, Jimmy's 700th. All the players were there at that point. But you know, he's on 699. You know, he's one away. He comes in bowling for a spell, and you start putting in all the players. So I'd be dabbing them in, and usually I have little codes for, like, if they've got a flat hat, I might put a little cross underneath. So I know that if it's got a cross underneath, okay, I've got to put a wide brim on their head. So you do that, but of course he may not get the wicket. So then you think, okay, well, he comes in, you know, a couple of overs later, okay, and then, but maybe the fielding's changed. So then you need to start changing around the fielding. So you've got to predict a little bit of what might happen, but then there's also the unusual things that come across, and all of a sudden, You have to switch all the players around, or you have to switch the ends for the wicket keeper, or whatever it might be. There might be a bigger story that comes up. You never quite know. But again, that's the beauty of sport and why we love it, I think.
And going back to Jimmy, just a second, that painting of his 700th wicket at Durham-Shire, you presented that to Jimmy Anderson.
Yeah. The ECB bought it to give to Jimmy, and the ECB also used it for their Christmas card last year. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty amazing.
That's good advertising for you, yeah.
Oh, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Like, wonderful. Like you can't beat seeing your work on an ECB Christmas card. It's very flattering.
And this year's Test series, if you were there 3 tests, that's 15 days. So you got 15 paintings. Where do they all go? You had an auction one, didn't you? You had an auction.
Yeah, sorry, you mean Red for Roof. That's Red for Roof.
Red for Roof.
Red for Roof at Lords. That's right,
yeah.
So that's again for them. I make the painting and donate the painting to the charity, and they auction it off for, their charity. And the other paintings, well, they go all around the world. They go to, like I say, they go to the players, they go to fans, they go to the stadiums, they go to anybody really. I sell prints of them, I sell the originals of them. I do the work, and then the work goes on its own journey.
You very kindly, in the Lords one, got me and my partner Myrna in the painting somewhere.
I did. Again, for the Red for Roof, I try to get as many people in the painting as possible, and as many people involved in the process, because I feel like that's such a special day with all the families there and everyone in the red hats, red ties, red jackets, whatever they've got on. So I try to, especially on that day, I try to, drum up as much support as I can, get as much spotlight, get as much interest into what's going on. So it all helps amplify the charity and the good work they do.
And you are a cricket fan, so you're also painting and watching the cricket.
Yeah, it's wonderful. You can't beat that. I mean, amazing. I mean, I remember being a kid watching cricket and seeing somebody painting the cricket. I think that's Jocelyn Goldsworthy. And it might have been, I'm not sure if it was or not, because it was, this was late 80s, early 90s. And I remember thinking, oh, that's kind of cool, and being quite intrigued by it, quite fascinated by it. But yeah, to be from that to now being on the boundary at the IPL final and being on the field at the end as the ticker tape's falling and chatting to Virat and with the captain of the RCB, Pandya, and some of the players and all that, and showing the painting and all that, it's quite it's a bit of a pinch me moment. There's a few pinch me moments, to be honest.
Well, that's down to your excellent work, really, isn't it? So
thank you very much. Appreciate that. I do my best. All you can do is do what you do and do what you know. So that's what I do. If people what
did you think to the Test series? You must have missed a couple when you were off painting baseball.
Yeah. I mean, it was a series that I think. I mean, it's just great Test cricket, wasn't it? I mean, amazing series. And I think, I saw India in, last year at the series there, and they beat us 4-1. And of course, I think with Rohit stepping down, Shubman Gill coming in as captain, I think it was a fantastic kind of, well, here we are with the upcoming, new captain, and how would he handle it? How would he handle the pressure? Because the intensity of the media in India on the captain and every single player and every single play is huge. So I thought it was a great series, and I thought it was as tough and as nail biting and as dramatic and a great advert for Test cricket at the end of the day. That's what you want. You want close, exciting games that, twists and turns and heroes and villains. And it was just amazing. It was like a fantastic novel.
We certainly had all that. Do you think 2-2 was a fair result?
Yeah, it probably was. I mean, that's a tricky one. It was 2-2 fair. I think it probably was on the balance of things. I thought we, I don't think there was much between the teams. I really don't. I thought, I guess I hoped as well, but I thought we were going to get through at the Oval. I thought we might have done that. And even Old Trafford, I thought, I was painting there at Old Trafford on that fifth day, and I thought we were going to do that. I thought, well, we should get this, and we didn't. But again, that's the beauty of Test cricket. I mean, that was a long day. That was a long day to paint, because I was like, surely we're going to get this wicket, and then we just didn't. And then it was just, they ground it out, and you got to take your hats off. They did a great job. They did what they needed to do, and well played.
That must have been part of the painting that day. Then the Sundar and Jadeja partnership.
That's it. I got Jadeja. I think it was Jadeja batting. That's the one now. I got it there down there. I was up in the up on the pavilion, so it was fantastic. Again, I'd been I've been all around the ground in different spots, and I'd painted the pavilion. Of course, the pavilion's historic and very beautiful, so you get that in every painting. But on the last day, I was up right next to one of the turrets, so it was fantastic to be so close to it, see all the details on it, and be able to put that in the painting, and then looking down into the crease and what was going on in the field. So it was yeah, I think it was probably fair. I think at the end of the day, I think yeah, it was all right. What about yourself?
Yeah, I suppose that last day, one thought England were going to get the runs, and when they
Yeah.
scored four off the first two balls, we thought, well, 27 for 4 wickets. Although we didn't know that know if Chris Wokes was going to come in or not.
Yeah,
27
yeah,
did
yeah.
seem quite feasible at the time, but in the
Yeah,
end, you didn't think we were going to win, and
yeah.
ultimately we didn't. But
I think again,
fantastic
it's the
series.
the beauty of you just can't write anything off, and that's the wonderful thing about sport. It'll keep you, even the dead certs. They don't always come through, and I think that's what you want. You want it to be twists and turns and surprising. I think that's what makes cricket such a wonderful game. Is those fine margins. If he just does this a little bit more, does that a little bit less, then it could be all completely different. But there we are.
Definitely, because the first three tests, even though England were 2-1 up, you could make a case that we could have been 3-0 down.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. It was fantastic. Again, fantastic. I thought it was a very well balanced series, and yeah, 2-2. There we go.
Growing up, then, had you got some favourite cricketers you liked,
I
artists on the
loved,
pitch?
I loved back in when I was watching, or when I first started watching it and really understanding it. It was Angus Fraser, Devon Malcolm bowling, Gladstone Small. Of course, we had Gooch, Atherton, Robin Smith, players like that, Courtney Walsh and Ambrose. I remember watching, I grew up in Essex in Chelmsford, and I remember watching the West Indies play Essex, I think it was 91. And I remember seeing Ambrose walk his way to the boundary pretty much to start his run up. And it was just incredible seeing him in real life. Doing what he did. So yeah, those would be my, back in the day, those were the guys that I was really watching, and even like Jack Russell. There you go. I'd be a big fan of Jack Russell. And these days, of course, Jack Paints.
Yeah, he's
I caught up
almost
with
more
him.
famous now for being an artist than he is a cricketer.
I saw something about you said about that he's been painting longer than he's been playing cricket now professionally. So but again, I went to he's got his gallery down in London. He's showing at the Chris Beatles gallery. So he dropped me an email for, I don't know, just before I went to the Czech Republic. So I went and met up with him, talked about brushes and cricket and paint and all this sort of stuff. So it's fantastic, really. Again, from watching him and seeing him on the screens as a young boy and with his sunglasses and his hat on, his moustache, to hanging out and talking about which kind of blue do we like using. It's pretty cool.
That must be a real privilege to meet him.
Oh,
I don't know whether you'd want to have any Weetabix or a cup of tea with him and things like that. But
we didn't talk about lunch or dinner. We haven't got to that point yet.
did you play any club cricket when you were younger yourself, or do you still
No,
play the odd game? No.
No, I don't, and I'd love to. I mean, I had a quick game of street cricket, gully cricket in Mumbai. When I was there, I was doing some painting in the markets. There were some guys playing cricket on a Sunday afternoon, so I did a little drawing of those guys, and then they invited me along to have a game. So I played with them for a bit. It was great. But no, I don't, and I'd love to, but because my work takes me, at the start of the year, I was in New Zealand, then I was back in England for about a month, then I was off to India for 3 weeks, then I was after India, it was the Test series. Then I've just been in the Czech Republic for the last 3 weeks, and then I'm off to Holland next month for more baseball. So I tend to find I'm not in one place for long enough to really commit to or start playing for a team. But yeah, I'd love to. As a kid, I loved playing cricket. Like me and my brothers playing in the back garden. That would be the summer. You'd watch Test cricket, and in between, the breaks, lunch break, tea break, or whatever, you go out in the garden. You'd be trying to emulate what you just watched on the screen. So yeah, I don't play at the moment, but I'd like to. I'll get back to it one day, hopefully.
Well, let's hope so. So, where can we find Andy Brown? You're on Instagram.
You can, yeah. Andy Brown is an artist on Instagram. Andy B is an artist on X, and my website is andybrownstadiums.com. Prints and originals, they're all available there.
And will you be going back to the IPL in 2026?
I'm not sure. That's a work in progress. We'll see. I'd like to go as a team artist. I'd like now to kind of dig down again in a different way and actually work with a team, painting the portraits of the players, the practice sessions, all kind of the behind the scenes stuff. Because I've done that for, like I say, baseball teams around the world now. It'd be cool to do that for cricket teams. So that would be for the IPL. We'll see. That's a work in progress. There's a women's IPL, of course, so we'll see about that. But yeah, as ever, it's never a straight line. My work is always you never know which direction it's going to take you, but you just keep going along and you do your work and you see where you end up.
It's really planes, trains and automobiles. It's more planes, though, really, than trains and automobiles, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a lot of everything. Yeah, it really is. A lot of travel.
And the Ashes, we were talking off air, you're hoping to go. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be good, of course. That'd be huge. But again, these things start as the conversation, you start with the email or the phone call and then it builds up. But there's a lot to be worked out. At the end of the day, you've got 5 different venues and a fair amount of time. So you've got to, again, work out the details and see how you can make it work. A lot of it is self-funded. Some of it, sometimes it might be a project for the IPL. They bought a collection of work, but also I made a collection of work myself. So of course I make some money, cover some costs, but a lot of it, it can be all self-funded. So you've got to make sure you can make it work. So it's it's a work in progress. Again, you see where you end up. I think that's kind of it.
Well, let's hope you get out there, and thank you very much for joining me on the Paddock and the Pavilion.
Thanks very much for having me. It's been great to chat about my work. Cheers.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.